It is only in the now that we experience existence, we experience life, we experience the aliveness of the present moment. It is only in the now that we are aware of this moment experience. Only in the now we are conscious. Everything in the universe happens only in the now, including all the past and all the future timelines are happening in the now. The past and the future it's time. It is a timeline, meaning the stream of time. The stream of time is a fourth dimensional energy, and many times we experience it fluidly. Sometimes it goes very quickly, sometimes very slow, depending on activity. But sometimes we also experience the timeless moment. And everyone knowingly or unknowingly already have experienced many, many times the eternal timeless dimension. The eternal timeless, very commonly, it's experienced when you go to sleep and after a long day, suddenly everything falls into peaceful perfection. When the mind exhausts itself throughout the whole day, and at the very evening you say, oh, everything is done, now I can rest. And your mind falls into the timeless, peaceful place of being. It feels very sweet. It feels very homey. It feels very natural. The eternal now, the eternal timeless is the very home when the mind is completely still, or the mind simply rests, or the mind simply opens without activity. The eternal now is accessible through the fifth dimension all the way to the full consciousness. And the full consciousness has one more aspect, to be boundless and completely aware, completely open. So the eternal now in itself, it is beyond time, and beyond time it is beyond the fourth dimension. The eternal now is when the time stops, and it's a feeling of being home. If we would examine a little bit closer, how does the eternal now feel? How does the eternal now is experienced? We will recognize that your focus becomes exhausted, or it's brought into the stillness through meditation and it's dropped. And when your focus exits the past and the future involvements, meaning all your past memories and all your plans of the future and all your worries, anxieties, or excitements about the future. When your attention and focus simply drops into this present moment of now, this is where the access to the eternal now is. The access is always in the now, it's never in the future, it's never in the past. So only from this moment we can access the eternal place, which is already here. Actually, it is already always here, but simply your attention and focus is constantly traveling throughout time and space. So your attention and focus, we could say, is the time traveler, your inner time traveler. And you will recognize that your attention and focus is constantly involved with past, constantly involved with future. The present moment is to a certain degree here, but it's always traveling, past, future, past, future. It's a time traveler. Time traveling is real. It is your attention and focus, always past, always future. And that is very exhausting activity to try time travel with your attention and focus. It is very restful to be in the timeless now. It is very restful because you exit your involvement from the mental energies. Your emotions come into stillness, and your body, your brain can start to rest and rejuvenate, recover. Everything flows, becomes, aligns itself with harmony. And this is why it feels so natural, because it is the natural state. It is not an altered perception. It is not another place. It is not another timeline. It is not another experience as such. It is a restful, natural state. In spirituality and consciousness work, people tend to have a lot of experiences and a lot of different various kinds of energies. Various kinds of energies are experienced for one to deeper integrate and stabilize in the natural state. So for example, your awakening of your chakras require balance of all the 7 strings, all the 7 vortexes, all the 7 energy channels require balance. And once there is a perfect balance within your chakra system, you experience the timeless now. You don't feel that you have those 7 chakras because they're in a perfect harmony. The same way, like you don't feel usually much about your body. You don't feel that you have arms and legs and so forth because there are no pains. You only start bringing your attention to your body when you start feeling discomforts and pains. Otherwise, it is so natural that you don't even feel it. So the same way, when all your chakras align in perfect harmony, you don't even feel your chakras, you abide in the timeless now. A second example would be your Kundalini energy, which rises and yearns to come into completion with consciousness. The Kundalini energy is Shakti, yearning to reunite with consciousness. So once it's flowing harmoniously through your system, you don't even feel that you have Kundalini energy. But when you do the practices, you definitely experience a lot of kinds of Kundalini experiences. Your body can start swinging and moving and swirling, and all kinds of purification effects may happen in your body. All kinds of new energetic experiences can be experienced. But this is what I call the side effects of the medicine of the now. So the medicine of the now is so natural that everything else is quite forgotten. It feels very, very natural, very normal. All kinds of energetic sensations are actually side effects of energy balancing purification processes. The same way in your psychology, you have certain challenges, certain sadnesses, certain depression, certain anxiety, certain limitations, certain walls, certain boundaries in your psyche, which are all unnatural. They're all unnatural because of the past actions, because of the past limited consciousness. But once you return to the natural, timeless now, your psyche is boundless. You don't even feel that it's there, it's boundless. So you see, we experience all kinds of energy feelings, chakra energies, kundalini energies, all kinds of emotional states, all kinds of mental states, and all kinds of altered perceptions and altered states of consciousness. We experience them as side effects of the natural state of the now. The natural state of the now feels the most natural thing that there ever is. It is so extraordinary that it is completely, absolutely normal. When you stabilize in the natural state, it becomes quite extraordinary to observe others how they are experiencing all kinds of side effects. And people sit down and they start swinging and they start bursting and laughing and this and this and that, and even in meditations and in the natural state you recognize that these are all side effects. These are all purification effects. So essentially the timeless now is home. And this home is so normal that everything else seems to be quite abnormal. From the natural state, when one would look down to the past or to the previous limited states of consciousness, you would never ever want to go in a lower state of consciousness because you recognize that you were residing in your past like in a small box, in a small room. It was so limited, it was so small. The world view was so small, the perception was so limited, the capacity to be in the now was so limited, and there was always involvement with the next thing and next thing, and a big struggle with the next thing, a big constant struggle because of limitation of psyche, limitation of your focus, attention, being time traveling in the past and future. So looking back at the lower levels of consciousness, you would never ever want to go back because it's so limited. It's so so much struggle, so much difficulty. The timeless now, it includes time, but is transcendent of time. So yes, the past can be easily recalled without attachment. Yes, the future can be easily planned without attachment. The past can be remembered as a simple memory, and that's all it is. In the timeless now, the past no longer has any kind of grip, any kind of imprint, any kind of attachment to your being. The attachment of the past is only because the past was not processed. Because when one lives in a limited consciousness, there is a very limited capacity to process the happenings of the now. Because of the limited consciousness, certain things that need to be done are not done, so they left to be undone and unprocessed. And certain actions become stored, certain emotions become stored in your nervous system, even in your organs, in your physical organs. Certain emotions accumulate if they're unprocessed in certain organs in your body. So then even your nervous system is holding the past because it couldn't have processed it before. Your physical body starts holding the past. And since the past is not processed, the present is limited, so the future also cannot be processed. So the future becomes also limited. So the body then starts storing the future as anxiety. So essentially then the whole time traveling, the whole timeline gets stuck in the body. And then the mind has nothing more to do than to worry about it. So coming back to the natural state, it is a lot about processing what your body is storing right now. Your body literally now is like a time capsule, and it's holding your past, it's holding your future ideas, anxiety, some excitements, goods and bads. It's holding your body is holding everything. Your body is holding the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's like a time machine, like a time capsule. And then you say, I'm so stressed, I'm so tensed. Well, of course, you're holding 20, 40, 50 years in your body. So coming back to the timeless now, eternal now, is very restful because your body is no more holding the past, the future, all that heaviness, all that burden. People say like there's a stone on the heart. Of course, it is so heavy. It's like all the luggages are packed and kept. They're not processed. So your body is a very miraculous organism, and it can even store extreme distortions. Your body is designed for the eternal now, for freedom, full consciousness. But your body loves you so much that it even holds all your past and all your future too. It's struggling a little bit. Your body is struggling a little bit. But because of that love, it says, okay, well, if you really like that past and future, I will keep it for you. I will store it there. And it just keeps on going. It just keeps on going. So sometimes looking back, you can really have a big wonder, like, wow, how do people survive? holding such a huge weight. It's like real extreme weightlifting. All of you are like professional weightlifters. So your body is doing amazing job. It's always doing amazing job. You see, your body is always doing amazing job. You keep on eating more junk food, it's gonna still keep trying to process it and still keep trying to keep a balance to make you feel good. Then you eat more cakes and more cakes and more cakes until your body says, okay, no more. But your body is so intelligent that it's always trying to do its best to feel good, to keep the balance. So essentially, your body is a perfect organism, but your mind is not. That's where all the problems are. Your mind, with attention and focus, that's where all the problems are. This is what gives all the trouble to the body. The same way when your body feels so natural, so good, but then suddenly if you hurt yourself, you start feeling a pain and you say, oh, I didn't know I have my leg. I didn't know I have, your toes or fingers. Now you can feel, if you cut your finger, you will really feel the aliveness of your finger, like never ever before. Your finger is gonna scream, I'm right here. Because in the past you were like, you never felt it. It was like, I don't know, this is just hand, it does nothing, it just does things. So your body is a miracle. It literally is a miracle. Even with all the trouble that you gave to your body, it's still a miracle. So the body truly loves to be in harmony. Your body truly needs to rest in the timeless now. Your body needs holiday from you. And when you examine, who is this you? Who is this you? That's where all the bunch of ideas, beliefs, identities are all condensed into a heavy cloud of energy, contracted energy on top of your head. And your body is carrying the whole world on your shoulders. So the body truly rests when the mind is at harmony, because it can do its job well, it can rest, and it can recover, rejuvenate. So your body needs some holiday from all the mental trouble. Your body needs to discharge the emotional past, the mental past, the future anxieties. Your body is always functioning perfectly in the present. In the present. So only in the now it can truly rest. Only in the now it can be in harmony. So time is really energy. And commonly people experience it as the past, as the future, and generally as something which is unprocessed. The timeless now itself is completely open. It's complete home. This is why it feels so good to have no more problems as such, psychological problems, emotional, mental problems, and to rest, to be in harmony. It feels so good, so natural. So the challenge is to process all the past, all the future, so that you can enter and you can stay in the timeless now. The other qualities of timeless now is harmony with the now, with life, with the current energies. So everything is then harmonious and constantly being harmonized, what is experienced in the present moment. The other quality of timeless now is balance. So you can always keep in check to have the right balance with your experience. There is no attachment to anything bad or anything good. So there's no depression or sadness, and there's no, we could say, extreme excitement either, because excitement is also a mental energy of the future, or something which is experienced in the present, but it's still connected with past or future. Excitement is a lower vibrational energy, which is positive, but it still tires the body. Because imagine you're excited for 5 hours in a day, then you're gonna be so tired that you're gonna just go and sleep. So the same way, there's a saying that you can't dance forever. You can't dance forever. You need to rest or to be in the right balance with the present experience. The higher vibration of excitement is joy with contentment. And joy with contentment then rises to become what we call happiness. And in the boundless now, happiness is experienced. Transcendental happiness is experienced. Non-dual happiness is experienced. Because everything is in the right balance. It's harmonious. It's restful. It's boundless. The other qualities of the timeless now is wholeness. Or we could say nothing, that nothing is missing. That nothing is missing inside. We're now speaking purely about your inner state. So the wholeness means that nothing is missing inside. The same way, nothing is wrong. So some of you may feel a little voice saying, but this is wrong, but that is wrong, but this is missing, and that is missing. And that is the little voice of the mind, of the mental energy, indicating that a deeper now is needed, a deeper balance is needed. So imagine living without the feeling of something is missing, living without the feeling of something is wrong, living without disharmony, living without confusion, living without doubt, living without worrying, living without anxiety. What is left? Harmony, rest, peace, balance, awareness, aliveness. There is no more suffering, psychological suffering, mental suffering. There is no more pressure of unprocessed past, future energies. These are all diseases of the mind's energy, together with the mismanagement of your attention and focus, of the limited perception. So that is why Buddha said that the root cause of suffering is ignorance of your true power to be free. And then you will ask, how can you be free? Is to have the right focus, attention, relaxation. To have the right focus, attention, relaxation. The right focus, attention, relaxation is a practice that needs to be done to rebalance your past decades of the wrong focus, attention, stress, and inner tension. So if you lived your last 20, 30, 40 or more years very stressed, very tensed, you cannot expect enlightenment to hit you from the blue sky while you spend 20, 30, 40 years being in a very deep disharmony. It just doesn't work that way. So enlightenment can happen either through a gradual recognition of releasing the past, the future, as in the mental anxiety of the future, or enlightenment can happen through the readiness, the spiritual readiness of your past merits. We could say your past lifetimes. And usually the way it would happen that a person would be quite unaware and quite in harmony with themselves, and then something would strike them to awaken. But even before the striking of awakening, they would be quite in harmony in a normal way, in a normal sense. That there's no huge mental anxiety, there's no huge mental psychological issues. So the spiritual readiness of the past merits means that your life would be quite harmonious generally. Your experience of the now would be quite harmonious generally. So that is already a merit of the past. It's already brought forward from the past lives. In another case, for most of you, it is a gradual transitioning up into the higher levels of consciousness. And that awakening happens gradually. It can have certain bigger times of awakening or gradual widening, opening. And sometimes you can jump a little bit. But still, whether one way or another way, you still need to release all that you are carrying. All the past, all the future, it still needs to be released one way or another. We could say there is no way to escape the past and future but to release it. To release it, to recognize what it really is. It's a disharmony kept in the present, and that needs to be released. It needs to be transcended. It needs to be disidentified. So for a moment, we can do a little practice to simply relax yourself right now, but we are not going to meditate. It's not a preparation for meditation, not yet. Hold on. Is to simply let go of idea of yourself, whatever that means. And stop and pause. Stop and pause. Let go of idea of yourself. And stop and pause. If your mind says, oh, but what about this and that, or who am I, who am I, you know, or or confusion comes up, or anxiety comes up, or anything else comes up, it's still a mental energy. Wait a moment, slow down, stop and pause, let go of idea of yourself, even of the self-enquiry. Let's stop inquiring, stop doing anything with your mind. Let go of idea of yourself, whatever that means. And as you are staying now, you will feel a certain widening, a certain opening, and you need to become more familiar with that. Because otherwise your mind will come back like a cloud and it's gonna raise the questions again. It's gonna bring emotions again. These are the clouds of the mind. Become familiar with the boundless space, with the boundless sky, we can say, with the place where the clouds are. You're already very familiar with the mental clouds. They're all already here. Become familiar with the open sky, with the open space right now. Just a little bit more familiar. Don't expect fireworks. Just become a little more familiar. And then you recognize it's so normal. And then you will say, oh, but something is missing. The mind says. And wait a moment again. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Become familiar again with the open space. It's very simple. It's just openness. It's quite difficult to do nothing. And it's not a meditation. It's not a practice as such. There's no preparation to be open. If you're preparing to be open, that's another mental activity. The openness is already here. There's nothing to prepare for it. The space is already here. The air that you breathe is already here. And most importantly, your awareness is already here. And then you will recognize past arising, perhaps a little future arising in your mind. Perhaps some energies are being processed. And yes, that is how you come into the right relationship, balance with the boundless now. There are no fireworks as such. It might be a very big disappointment to your mind that, oh, I thought enlightenment is gonna be like this. It's just this pure, simple openness. And that pure, simple openness is boundless. Your attention is not fixed on anything. And if we become more familiar with this beautiful openness and beautiful space, it is enveloping your whole being, it's enveloping the whole earth. So you can literally wrap your hands around the earth and hold it in love. But don't get attached to even that beautiful holding. Just let it happen naturally. You can imagine holding this whole beautiful earth in the loving arms. You can imagine holding yourself in the loving arms. So we are recognizing the beautiful openness, stillness, harmony. We are becoming softer, softening your involvement, softening your attention and focus, softening everything. And lovingly being, lovingly holding your experience. If it helps you, you can also feel your breath. If it helps you, you can visualize that everything is already harmonious, perfect, beautiful. Becoming familiar, being natural, being timeless, simply not thinking about past or future, not holding past and future, not referring to past or future. It is the eternity which is holding you. You are one with eternity. You are the now, the eternal now, eternal being, always present, always open, unfixed, undoubtful, unconfused, unworried, openly aware. We could say unknowingly aware, simply openly seeing and being. Because knowing is a stream of mind. It is accessible if you need it, but you don't need to be in the stream of knowing. Open being, openly aware, openly now. Being held in the caring love, being one with the caring love. You are the caring love. Love already loves you. Love already loves you. You can rest in the timeless now. Give it some time to become familiar with the peaceful, open, present being. it some time to release any tensions, contractions. Give some time to be, to give some time to yourself. Because otherwise the time will always be missing. There's the huge reservoir of time in the now. In the now, you can access as much time as you need, as much time as you want. In the now, you can access all the time, infinite time, eternal time. If the future is your idea of fulfillment, it will only come to be realized that you needed to go deeper in the now. You will come to full consciousness and enlightenment in the future when you will learn to truly be in the now, to truly trust the now, to truly relax into the now. You only need time to come back to the now. So the best thing that you can ever do in the future is to come back to the now. And what is the distance between the future and the now? How big is this distance between the future and the now? Well, that is your path. That is your whole spiritual journey. That is your path to enlightenment, to the now. As much time as you need, the now will give it to you. As much effort that you will need, the now will give it to you. Anything that you truly need to come back to the now will give you. If you need more time, you will get it. If you need to do more things, you will get them. To come back truly to the now If something is incompleted, you will need to complete it to come back to the now. If something you don't like, you will find what you will like to recognize that the now has it all. That it is the fulfillment itself. So wherever you go, whatever you will do, it will be all to return to the now. That is the beauty of life. That life wants to give you fulfillment, the ultimate satisfaction. And you need as much effort so that you can truly find in the now. You can travel all the countries to find yourself. You can go to all dimensions to find yourself. You can travel anywhere in past and future to find your true self. You can do anything you can imagine to find yourself in the now. And if you try harder, you will recognize the cosmic irony of that search. So if you change your focus, if you shift your perception 180 degrees, you will find yourself in the now already. A beautiful practice is to give some time it's to feel that there is more space around you already. Is to soften your search and to lovingly care about yourself. To be with a loving care. Any problem, any struggle, any effort can be healed by slowing down, giving some time, feeling more space around, softening any momentum softening any happening and lovingly being, being with a loving care. It is the best thing that you can do to yourself. It is how any struggle, any effort, any obstacle can be overcome by slowing down, giving some time, feeling more space, softening any energy, any happening, any emotion with caring love, with a loving being. Now we can be forever like this. Forever and ever and ever and ever. We can be in the loving care. Becoming familiar with the eternal being. in the eternal now. Everything is one. There was no idea about two. There was no idea about anything else. The mind has rested in one. The mind forgot about itself. When the mind forgets about itself, you are free. And as long as you keep remembering yourself, as long as you keep on perpetuating the story, you're giving food, fuel to the mind. And when the mind forgets about the mind, it is the eternal now. Home. So real. So peaceful. So normal. Natural. The mind forgot about the mind. The mind forgot about all the problems of the mind. We could say it's the most healthy amnesia ever. You may recognize that the mind has a momentum, the mind has stickiness. Don't fuel it. Change your focus. Remember the timeless now. Become more familiar with the timeless now. When your mind comes up with something, it will pretend it's the most important thing in the world. Why? It wants to grab your attention. So the mind wants to grab your attention. And if you don't give your attention to the mind, what happens? The time stops. The story dies. It becomes the end of the story. the mind stops, eternal now opens. When the mind stops, eternal now opens. So don't give your attention to the mind. Don't focus on the mind. Remember eternal now. Familiarize with eternal now. And to overcome any struggle, any obstacle, it is to slow down, give it some time, feel more space around it. Soften feeling, emotion, energy, your body. Remember eternal now. Familiarize more with the peaceful, open being. Very well, very well. We have a little time for questions. If you have a question or you would like to share or inquire deeper into your now, you can raise your hand and unmute the microphone. We are soon coming to the end. In my now, I can simply rest. I believe you may have more questions than myself. So to save you some time,
Mindo? Hello.
yes, yes,
You hear me? Okay, hello.
yes.
When there is stress in the body and there's like you said, it's locked. This cycle. Thought, and I cannot relax. Maybe due to trauma or something. And this is. I still feel the presence of the now and the beauty. And so the question is if I should go on like this and it will loosen up after time. Or?
Yes, I gave a little practice.
Mm.
It is actually not so little practice, it is a very deep practice how to overcome any tension, any obstacle, any struggle. It is by slowing down, taking some time, expanding the space, and all the steps which I mentioned previously.
Yes, I listened.
So all the tensions, all the contracted energies in your body, in your chakras, in your kundalini,
Mm.
any obstacle, any struggle, you can overcome with this practice. So that is the answer.
Okay.
And yes, the body holds a lot of past, a lot of energies which are not of the now,
Yeah.
which were accumulated or haven't been processed. So that's why all these tensions and stresses and blockages are experienced. There is a reason why they're here. If
Mm.
they're here, it means that is already the isness of the now. It's already the case. It's already the way it is.
Yes.
Then it's to take the right relationship with what already is. And
Loving
relationship,
attention. Yeah.
you will strengthen, with the right relationship, you will strengthen the now more and more and more. So that is how it works. So every minute, every moment you spend being in the right relationship, strengthening the now, you are returning, stabilizing, integrating into the reality, the eternal reality of the now. And this statement itself is so big that it will save you many lifetimes. Many lifetimes. It can save you just doing the right practice. It will not only save lifetimes of the future, it will heal, release, transcend all your past. You will exit the duality of time into the eternal now. So that is the profundity of this practice. And only if your mind says, I need something more, it has to be more, something is missing, something is not enough, I believe I need more time, I believe I need to explore more, well, that's what you believe in. That's what your mind is reflecting to you right now. That is the distance that you are holding right now. And all that distance, yes, you will need to complete. And you can either complete that distance through more searching everywhere, or by recognizing that it is a distance, a conditional distance held in the body, in your psyche, in your energy, and there's a much faster way of how to process it, heal it, transcend it. Or we could say, reascend into the timeless now. Any more questions? Or somebody would like to share? We have about 5 minutes or so. Ah, yes, Marvin, yes.
Yeah, thank you. This was very, very relaxing for me, especially when you talked about the reservoir of time that was accessible then, and I could like all the time I need, I could take it, and that was so relaxing because the mind wants, yeah, like you said, wants to do all these things, and it needs time for that, and also time is money, and yeah,
Time
it's
is
like
everything.
the marketplace mind is, yeah. Oh, my connection is not that great. What did you say?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, any conclusion or any question?
No, no question. Just it was just nice to be in that present moment. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And to know that you can get all the time you need in the world to come back
Yeah.
here now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That's enough for the sharing.
Thank you, Marvin. Thank you. Yes, Jackie, you're writing your question? Or someone can ask until then? So I will ask you to answer a very honest question. How much time do you need? Just very honestly answer to yourself. How much time do you need to fully return to the timeless now? It is a rhetorical question for each of you. Some people will say, I need more time. Well, the universe will supply it. You have a demand for more time, the universe will supply it. The universe will give you as much time as you need until you figure out how to come back fully to the present, boundless, eternal now. So there is one way of searching and another way of realizing the truth. Doing the right practice and returning actually what you're looking for, returning already now, already practicing that now. So this is how time can be saved. A lot of effort can be saved. A lot of searching, a lot of energy can be saved. So my only duty is to remind you about the eternal now, to remind you, guide you, help you to come back to eternal now. And then you decide how much time you need, how more searching you want to have, how many more countries you need to visit to find yourself. It is quite simple at the end. Okay, very well. So, any last questions, or we will be coming to the very simple end?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I have a practical question. Let's say I have a worry, a fear about the future, and I could ease my worry by Googling an answer and making sure that actually the probability of it happening is very, very small, or it can't even happen. Or I could refuse to go and search the answer on Google. I could just always come back into the now, exactly what we did today in this session. So my understanding is that this is what I should be doing, right? I shouldn't be. So instead of trying to get my reassurance from Google, I should try to get my reassurance by being in the now and accepting whatever happens, happens. I don't need to have an assurance that actually statistically it can happen.
Yes. So Google will not give you time. It will not give you life. It will not give you reality. Google can only give you a certain answer which can be found on the internet. Reassurance, you were mentioning reassurance. The reason why the need for reassurance arises because there is anxiety and worry.
Yeah.
So let's recognize that the real problem is actually anxiety and worry, and that is, we can say, an obstacle or a struggle. And therefore, by applying the right practice, as we already discussed, you will save all the time of Googling for the answers to reassure yourself and to soothe the anxiety and worry, which is the reality of the present moment. So Google will never solve that problem for you. Only the right practice in the now will heal anxiety and worry, and the practice we have discussed. So many times when we examine what we are looking for and what we are doing, we will recognize that either we want to return to the now, or we want to heal the problem blocking the now. It's either or. All the spiritual practices, all of them, whatever you have done in the past, it's either looking for eternal now as absolute consciousness now, or healing the problem blocking the absolute now. It comes down to very simple things.